All right, thank you, Kelly. And I want to thank Kelly again for filling in. George Melton was supposed to be here today, and he was in New York City and flew back and didn't feel so great after the flight. So he's taking some time for well-deserved healing. So that's why Kelly is here today, and we know she'll visit again. So I asked her if she'd bring her harp, and she said, I'm coming down. So we thank her. She's from the High Desert Center for Spiritual Living. It's where our paths cross. And so Proverb 29:18 shares this. If a people have no vision, they will vanish. Ernest Holmes' vision is of a world that works for everyone, with no one left behind and no one left out. In other words, our vision at Centers for Spiritual Living is a vision of absolute loving inclusiveness. And at this center, everyone is welcome here. Our talk today is divine distribution, Spirit's heavenly handiwork. And in today's world, there's a lot of talk going around, right? Lots of talk, lots of chatter, lots of noise going around. Talk, 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 talk. And for some of us, we had a father who did that once-in-a-lifetime talk. It was when I was in third grade. It was my father's talk to me about his generational wisdom that he was going to pass on to me, that I was supposed to pass on to future generations. And we went to the beach, Founder's Landing, warm summer breeze, offshore breeze, blowing offshore, very warm and humid, I remember. The waves were rolling inshore, and we were walking along the beach, and we were leaving 2 sets of footprints on the beach. We did not have our 2 sets of footprints become 1 set of footprint. It was not a mystical happening or a magical happening, but it was a being present with my dad in a very special way, in a very special moment. And what he shared with me, I was in third grade, and what he shared with me, and I've never forgotten it, some people talk and some people do. He walked away from me. I was in third grade. What was I supposed to do with that? And so I'll share with you now how that became to unfold in my life is that I would now share with my father, and in this teaching we believe we're interconnected, right? Always in relationship with every animal, plant, being, rock, mineral, wave, drop of rain that we have ever encountered. They will always and forever be part of our soul presence wherever we are. And so knowing my dad is part of my soul presence, that I'm getting the God energy, so I'm assuming this is spiritual truth, I would share with my dad now, and this is what do I do with that, to this is how I become with it. And what I would share with him is that some people, while they're doing, they presence that heavenly creative spirit. In the process of doing, they're presencing that energy of spirit by the way they use their hands to create heaven on earth. Kelly, hands to the harp. She uses it, creates heavenly music with her hands. How do we use our hands to create heaven on earth? Michelangelo, how many people have been to the Sistine Chapel? How many people have been to Sistine Chapel? Ross and I got to visit there 10 years ago. We're going back in October. We're going to be back there again. And Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo, Spirit's hand reaching toward the human hand. Yes, that famous photo of the 2 fingers reaching, right? God, Spirit reaching for the human. Bang! Connection. Michelangelo, Sistine Chapel. We just screened Steven Spielberg's E.T., very symbolic. Steven Spielberg, oh my gosh, the symbolism of spirit and energy and creativity. How about E.T. and Elliot at the end of E.T.? What happens? Human hand, spiritual hand, touching. Bam! Connection. Human hand and heavenly hand as one. And Mother Teresa shares this. How do we use our earthly hands to bring forth that heavenly presence on earth? And Mother Teresa shares this. I am nothing. I am but an instrument, a tiny pencil in the hands of the Lord with which He writes what He likes. However imperfect we are, He writes beautifully. And so then I went on this morning to write, or is it she writes beautifully? You know, there's a lot of talk today about using the right pronoun. Are we using the right pronoun for spirit? Do we call spirit she, her, or hers? Or do we call spirit he, him, and his? Or do we call spirit they, them, and theirs? Exodus shares this. God reveals his name to Moses. God said to Moses, I am who I am. Tell the Israelites, I am has sent you. The I am of Yahweh. Yahweh is my name forever. God reveals his name to Moses as I am that I am, and in that time, I am that I am was said as Yahweh. And so Yahweh, that is my name forever. And what astounds me to this day is that Burger King got it right. Have it Yahweh. Spirit's ever present, even at a burger joint. Even at a burger joint, Spirit is present. And so in terms of Spirit's heavenly presence of Yahweh, in terms of Spirit's heavenly handiwork, do we sing, and I'm going to work with Kelly on this, do we sing, He's got the whole world in his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. Or do we sing, he's got the whole world in her hands, she's got the whole world in her hands, she's got the whole world in her hands, she's got the whole world in her hands. Or do we sing, they got the whole world in her hands, they've got the whole world in their hands, they've got the whole world in their hands, they've got the whole world in their hands. So here's the hands up, the hands down, and the hand-me-down, as my Father gave me spiritual truth. Here's the hand-me-down of spiritual truth. It isn't about the pronouns we use. It's about the pronouncements we speak. And the pronouncement Science of Mind invites us to speak is, we are all one. Sounds like we have a CSL group here. You've got that down. You've got that down. Look, listen, and see. That's Ernest Holmes' invitation to us. Look and listen and see in a whole new way. It isn't about a boy named Sue or a gal named Sal. It's about moving beyond our personal beliefs and labels into the spiritual liberty of becoming who we are. You know, knowledge says, this is the truth. And yet wisdom discerns, this is how we use that truth. Scientific knowledge says a tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable. Yet wisdom discerns we don't put tomatoes in a fruit salad. Science of Mind invites us to no longer live in the franchise of our human mess. We're kind of doing a really good franchise of messing things up. Just saying. And yet to move in the direction of the freedom of our heavenly bliss and away from our human mess, we do it by the way we use our hands on earth. Our heavenly bliss of knowing each and every human life. Think for a moment about what's going on in our country. Think for a moment about what went on in this country this week. Our heavenly bliss comes of our knowing that each and every human life, whether it is gay, whether it is straight, whether it is black, whether it is white, whether it is rich or poor or Mexican or American or advantaged or disadvantaged, is a unique, individual, divine expression of Spirit's love on earth. That's our teaching. That's our message. And it's up to us to live it every single day, every single breath, and every single beat of our heart. And here's the thing about our heart. There are no zip codes in the heaven of our heart. Ernest Holmes shares it this way. We are each an individual expression of the universal life force, and that by embracing this truth, we can live more authentically, joyfully, and in harmony with the universe. In essence, we can become divine distributors of universal love, of this universal life force of love. Look, listen, and see. Look, listen, and see. This universal life force of love is everywhere present. It's everywhere powerful, and it's everywhere possible. If it's everywhere present, why can't I always see it? In some of the days of last week. If it's everywhere present, why can't I feel it? Why can't I feel it every minute of every single day? I feel it some minutes and some days, but why can't I feel it all the time if it's ever present? And if it's everywhere present, why can't I be it? If it's everywhere present, what the heck is going on in our country? Who hijacked it? And how in heaven's name are we going to get it back? At the end of the academic part of ministerial school, we were required to take 30 hours of written essay exams. In one exam, they asked us to conceptually relay that ever-presence of spirit. Now, we had 3 hours to write that exam, and I think I spent 2.5 hours going, how do I represent and convey the ever-presence of spirit? And then this came to me. It came to me. How we can come to recognize the ever-presence of this universal life force in our daily lives is to know that love is all around us. And Ernest Holmes shares that presence of love being all around us all the time this way. He says, imagination is not fanciful daydreaming. It is fire from heaven. And so I imagined a fish in a heart-shaped fishbowl dropped into my imagination. And it's in the presence of the artistry of Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel. And he says the beauty of the statue in the Sistine Chapel, it was always there. It was ever present, ever powerful, ever knowing. All I did was let fall away that which didn't belong. How do we let fall away that which doesn't belong? The beauty is there. It's ours to let fall away any false belief. It's ours to let fall away any false action. It's ours to let fall away any false idea that we are anything less than God's expression of love on earth. You know, there's a story of the hummingbird and the forest fire which expresses this ever-powerful presence of spirit. Forest fire, little hummingbird, all the animals rushing across the river. They cross the river because they think the forest fire on this side of the river won't be able to cross the river. They're all there. They're standing there. The fire is encroaching the river. Sparks are flying over the river. It's going to come to their side of the river. They all stand there. All of the animals of this forest stand there. And then one hummingbird said, that fire is going to cross the river. We have to do something. And they said, we're afraid. We're afraid to speak up. We're afraid to stand up. We're afraid to do anything. And this hummingbird said, I'm not afraid. I'm going to make a difference. And that hummingbird flew to the river, got a drop of water in its beak, and put it on the forest fire, flew over. He got another drop and another drop and another drop, and they all laughed at the hummingbird. They all laughed in unison at the hummingbird. And they said, you're not going to make a difference. And he said, maybe not, but I'm doing my part. In every human emergency is the opportunity, is the spiritual opportunity to emerge and see. Whatever human condition you are calling forth, the spiritual solution is to know that in every human emergency is the spiritual opportunity to emerge and see it in a new way. Mr. Rogers shared this. in the aftermath of September 11th. He said, "Look and see how many helpers there were." Spirits, heaven on earth, by the way those helpers used their hands. Individuals risked their lives to save people they never knew. But all of a sudden, in that human emergency came that spiritual emergence of, we are all one. Take my hand. I'll help you down those stairs. Take my hand. I'll help you across the block. Take my hand. Come to my home a few blocks away. Let me feed you. Let me give you water. Let me give you shelter for a few nights. Take my hand. The message of September 11th. Take my hand. Ernest Holmes invites us into a spiritual home. And he invites us to open that door of that spiritual home by taking our hands and using our hands in prayer and opening the door of our spiritual heart. Ernest Holmes invites us to take our hands and plant the seeds we need to plant so we can sow the harvest we want to reap. We can plant, we can dig. What are you planting? What are you digging? Where are your roots going to be? Science of Mind states this: may your life become the prayer of I am. Yahweh, I am that I am. Yahweh, I am that I am. Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind, invites us to make our life become the prayer of I am. I am loving in the face of hate. I am kind in the face of brutality. I am caring in the face of calamity. Science of Mind invites your life to become the prayer of I am. And as we become the prayer of I am in our individual lives, the nation, this nation, the people of this nation begin to heal individually. One person praying and living and speaking and talking and walking the prayer of I am heals the hurts of the many. And we do it by the way we use our hands to bring forth the light of love in our heart. And to bring that heavenly consciousness forth is something that we get to do every day, every breath, by the way we lovingly and caressingly and comfortably use our hands in this world to bring forth the beauty, the bounty, and the blessing of our soul spiritual currency. Our soul spiritual currency. How do we distribute the divine force of universal love into the daily of our lives? Western Shane had to study this in film school. Didn't had to. What a great opportunity to study Shane. Shane was an outsider in a town, and he came to bring righteousness and justice to this lawless town, right? He was gonna stand up. And at the end of the movie, Shane talks to young Joey, the young boy, sort of the father to the son, giving him that wisdom, eternal wisdom my dad gave to me. Some people talk and some people do, I would say to my dad, and some people become who they're meant to be. Shane says to Joey, Joey, don't ever forget this. You can't ever go back on what you've done. You can only move forward into who you hope to be. Shane rides off into the sunset, leaving young Joey to ponder, what the heck am I supposed to do with that? And so what the heck are we supposed to do with the mess our country is in? We can use our hands to do Spirit's heavenly handiwork. We can build longer tables and not higher walls. We can come forth in that loving energy of knowing that divine distribution, Spirit's heavenly handiwork, is ours to do and to be and to see and become. And perhaps this week, in the aftermath of last week, we can move forward into that presence of love by holding our hands in prayer for all people of all nations, all religions, all people. Perhaps we can go home tonight and light a candle of faith for all people, all religions, all nations. And perhaps we can just reach out and extend our hand and say, let me take your hand. Let me help you over the hurdle. Let me help you over the hurdle and find your way to the high call of heaven. It's there. It's in every one of us. It's ours to call forth right here and right now, in this sanctuary, in this presence, in this day. And so, what's your high call? What's the prayer of I am that you'll pray this week, this day? What's your prayer that you'll live? And, Ernest Holmes shares this. And Proverbs shares this, and we'll close with this. What's the I am of the prayer that you will live today? What's the I am of the prayer that you will speak today? What's the I am of the prayer that you will become today? Proverbs shares this. If a people have no vision, they will vanish. Ernest Holmes invites us to live the I am of the vision of a world that works for everyone, with no one left out or left beyond. And we do that by the way we use our hands on earth to bring forth Spirit's heavenly presence right here and right now. What is the prayer of I am that you are being called to live and breathe and talk and walk today? And so ends our talk, and so begins our work. And now, Kelly. Thank you. So, the prayer of I am, Kelly's music, brought forth by the way she uses her hands on earth. It's our time of giving, and I invite our ushers to come forth. And we'll read this together, and so we'll read it, and we'll read it from that heart space. And I give and receive freely and generously with an open heart and an open mind. The universe responds to me in kind. I know that my beloved community is richly blessed, and so it is. And so your presence is the gift of the center. Know that. Your presence is such a remarkable gift to the center, the energy you bring. And so if you want, as the basket passes by, if you just want to circulate your spiritual energy, we invite you to do your hand in a circular motion and put your energy in there. So that's fine. Your presence is the gift of the center. Online, you can go to cslbeaumont.org. You can Zelle the number you see on the screen, or you can text GIVE to the number you see on your screen. We also take snail mail if you want, and we take credit cards in the office. So any way you choose to tithe, we're more than willing to accept your gift to really help Centers for Spiritual Living. We tithe to headquarters to help all of us come together in this wonderful network of knowing beyond knowing that the peace we see in our minds is the peace that is present right here and right now. That's our work. That's our truth. And so now I invite each and all of us, if you're new to our center, we stand up, we hold hands, we encircle the center, and we sing the peace song, which Kelly is going to guide us in. So if you want to grab hands, and if you want to remain seated, if you're not comfortable grabbing hands, you can remain seated and join us in consciousness. And I'm going to go up with Kelly next to the keyboard and join Kelly in the keyboard. So there's Ross, just take your hand. And we're going to sing. Everyone join us in the peace song. The lyrics are on the screen. And so know with me, something wonderful happened at CSL Beaumont today. New musical talent in the house, and Rev Bev, and so many faces being part of this presentation. But mostly what we became aware of is to stop and look and listen, to realize the power of I am that I am, even if it's at Burger King. Have it Yahweh. Lunch in Carter Hall, prayer in the prayer room. So come join us for lunch. Come say hello. We're so glad we had so many guests visiting from Palm Springs today. We trust we'll see you again.